Enter my world, watch real close. And when I'm through, oh, why not have it go? Oh, we paint miniatures. We paint miniatures. We paint miniatures. Turn on tuning in, hear what I say, but watch it real closely, enjoy your stay. You'll see me painting from up above, and if you like it, give it that love. Take your time, steady and you can do it right. Shoshie can. Enter my world, watch real close. And when I'm through, oh, why not have it go? Take your time, steady and you can do it right. Shoshie can. Enter my world, watch real close. And when I'm through, oh, why not have it go? We paint miniatures. 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 We paint miniatures.
Hello, it's Shoshie, and we are live on YouTube. And this is my first public stream since I don't know when. Anyway, I'm going to be streaming Moonstone the game. Let me check to see if you guys can hear my other music. No, you can't. Hold on one second. Let's turn that up a smidge. How's everybody doing? There we go. That's a little loud. There we go. All right. All set. Hello. Hello, it's Shoshie, and we are live on YouTube. And one second. You're going to be hearing my echo for 1 second. I don't know when. Anyway, I'm going to be streaming Moonstone. There. I fixed it. I had my own. Oh, well, you know what? I've never claimed to be good at tech, and we all know that. So, hello. I want to say hello to people in chat real quick. We have Bachelor, who's going to be moderating for us. Frick, and let's see, who else? Moonstone, of course, is our sponsor. Joe, B1, and Benjamin's Prime, just in time. Yes, we just started, so everybody is ready. And I want to introduce Susie from who is with us from Moonstone. Or do you want me to just call you Moonstone? I can do either one.
Susie's fine. People will see me cropping up in the different social channels as Susie, so that's all good.
Nice. All right, just to make sure that everyone in chat can hear Susie, just give us a little message if you can hear her okay, or if we need to adjust her because she's coming through on my desktop audio. So there might be a little delay between us, so we'll see about that as well. So, but meanwhile, I will show everyone these amazing, gorgeous miniatures. Oh, it looks like I need to there. Oh, I got to change my focus real quick. Hold on a second. Sometimes the autofocus on my camera wants to be finicky. Configure. Oh, I know what it was. Well, I had to restart my computer today, and it changed everything. There we go. Boom. Nice. Take that. Let's tilt this wheel a little bit. Perfect. You could be louder? Okay, you can turn, I will turn you up then, Susie, on my end. So don't worry about anything. Okay, say something now.
I will say something now, so
Oh.
you can tell me if you can hear me, other people. So that would be good.
I hear you very well, so
Cool.
let's make sure the brightness is at the same level I want it. Bear with me, guys. You can only hear one person, Benjamin? Hello, Mr. Snowiak. Wow, it's so good to see you. It's been so long. Let me turn up the brightness just a squidge. You could hear Susie very soft. Okay, did you hear her better once I turned her up? Here's another of the very cute. This is Klaus. Oh yeah, got the focus on there really nice now. Here is Gwendoline, very beautiful fairy. And this one is Reagan. And as you can see, we're going to do a little OSL on Reagan because she's got this glowing malachite stone.
Very excited to see that. I am terrible at OSL.
Well, I will explain how we can make it a little easier for people at home to get this look, because it really comes down to how you're priming it, because OSL kind of needs that white underneath it to make it a different. See how just with the different, I've got white, green, there's a green primer, and black is at the very end of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I've got quite the delay on chat in my thing here, and so nobody has let me know yet if they can hear okay. Hear Susie okay. Okay. So let me make sure my music is going. Nope, it is not. Play all. There we go. All right, so let's see which one of these shall I paint first, Susie? What do you think? They're all gorgeous.
Ooh, they are. I'll let you pick. I'll let you pick first.
Okay. Well, let's look at the box art real quick. So I think that Gwendoline has the most color based on the box art, and so I'm going to paint her first because the other two are going to be fairly simple. They don't have a lot of different colors on them. So we're going to kind of stick mostly close to the box art, and of course we're going to Shoshify it, as I say. All right, so let's get Gwendoline. First, I want to explain what I've done on the priming here, because that's kind of an important part to this process. Is I started with a black primer, and I tend to use Stynylrez Res primer because it really covers nice. And then I did a second coat, kind of a zenithal of this. This is also Stynylrez Res. This kind of greenish sage color. Did you mean to link this on Patreon? I did. You don't see one? I didn't. Oh, I didn't mean. Yeah, no, I linked it to my Discord, so everybody on my Discord should have seen it. So I did not link it on Patreon because I linked everybody who's in the Discord. I guess I could. Yeah, give me 1 second because that's gonna be handy.
Cool, thank you.
I want everybody to know we're going to be streaming again tomorrow at the same time.
Mhm.
All right, here we go. Live stream. Here we go. Sponsored by Moonstone, the game. Bear with me one more minute.
If I talk normally for a moment,
Yeah.
if people want to shout in the chat and let me know if I'm still quiet, just while
Yeah, if anybody can let us know. Can you guys still hear Susie or not? And if she's still, there we go. All right, I just published this to the Patreon. Now everybody will get that in their email now. Awesome. All right.
stuff.
So back to my priming example. We took the black, completely covered it in black, and then I did a sort of a zenithal prime with the green, and it's going to act as the next shade. You still hear her quite softly. I'm not sure how to fix that. Let me see if I can.
Not usually accused of that either, so.
Right. Okay, I made her a little bit louder for you guys. Hopefully you can hear her now.
There we go. I'll say something now. Give me a shout if
Yeah.
you need to be louder. Okay.
Hi, 30. Hello. Still soft. Well, I don't know what to do except for maybe. Oh, I know why. I'm going to take the music down in volume and then make you. This is all the tech stuff that I have not done in a long time. I know what it is. It's the actual desktop audio.
Ah.
There we go. That should be. She sounds at least twice as soft as me. Okay. That makes sense because I've got myself up pretty loud. Okay. That seems a lot better there. I might have to. I might have to turn my music off. We'll see. I think it'll be okay. If the music gets louder than Susie, we'll have to turn the music off.
That's better. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. So hopefully that's it now.
Yes. All right. So then the final color was the white, and obviously you can see there's a lot more white on Reagan because she's got her glow, and then just a little bit on Gwendoline. And then I did a little bit just on the front. This is where my light source is hitting. So the white is basically my light source. And on Reagan, the light source is her stone. So that's why it's coming from below. All right, so let's go ahead. I've got my Redgrass Games wet palette, and they gave me this new paper, which I wasn't keen on in the first, when I first started using it, but it's really grown on me. So I kind of digging it now. It's just it acts a lot different than their other membranes, so it took me a little getting used to. Way better now. Okay, they can hear you way better. That's awesome.
Excellent.
All right, and I've got some Game Envy brushes that I'm using, which I bought myself. I'm not sponsored by Game Envy. I am sponsored by Redgrass Games. So I have to put that out there. I'm I don't know, I wouldn't count myself sponsored by Stynylrez or by Badger Airbrush is where you get that, because I bought that myself. Okay, everybody can hear you. All right, so let's look at our colors. She's got sort of a brown skin. She's growing out of a tree, so we're going to have more of a burnt umber brown and then more of a burnt sienna brown for her skin. And then she's got olive wings, pink for the edges of the wings and pink for the hair, and then this beautiful kind of lime green for her outfit and some details on her dress. So let's see, let's get all these colors out. I'm going to do, pink is the hardest color. It really is. So
yes. It can get a bit too red, can't it, sometimes, or it can be too washed out,
or it can get chalky because it always has white in it. That's why. So I do have some of the Instar Paints, and if you live in the UK, that is local to you guys. So Instar, I'm going to try to use this magenta and mix it with a little bit of white because it's highly pigmented. And that way, because it's so pigmented, it's not going to be as likely to chalk up as if I were to use straight out of the bottle of pink. Okay, so then we need olive. I need kind of a dirty olive. I'm going to mix, ooh, this is dark golden brown, and I'm going to mix some green with it. Actually, it might, yeah, a little green with that's going to be okay. This is dark camel green. I think that will work. We need something a little bit to lighten that up. I've got a little ochre here. Might mix my green over there. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Here's my process. I'm going to take this brownish color. I can see just by looking at it, it's too brown, so I'm going to add some yellow to it, and then add just a skosh of green, and I think a little bit more brown. Yeah, it's that color green. There we go. Just over here to make myself kind of a highlight with the yellow. And then I can make myself a little shade over here by mixing a little brown and a little green. Well, we got the, so I had some metal made. This is one of my metal songs. Oh, thank you, John, for subscribing. Yay. We got some YouTube subscribers. Okay, and then I need a dark brown. I'm not going to use dark brown. I'm going to use this mahogany because if I mix it with green and red on the color wheel, make brown, and this is already really dark. Ooh. See, watch what happens when I mix this dark red with this dark green. I get my dark umber. See how nice that is? That color is perfect if with a little bit more mahogany. Thank you, Leandros, for the inside of Reagan's cloak. See, we just add a little bit more of that mahogany in there, and there it is. So that's nice to know that we'll have some of the same palette. Of course, the graphic designer used all the same colors for all the models anyway.
Yes, I believe he did.
Okay, I'm gonna put a little green over here too. And then we've got our pink. This is the next color. Let's just see what happens. This is a desaturated yellow that I already have. What happens if I mix a little bit of my very pigmented magenta? Do I get it's a kind of a corally rosy color, but I bet if we add a little bit of either ivory or white, probably a little bit of white, it's still a little on the, well, let's see what happens when we do some white in there.
Is it the white that tends to make it chalky then?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more magenta because we want, there we go. Add a little bit more. And a little bit more white because, ah, that's so pretty. That's a very pretty pink. Now, over on this side, I can make my darker color with a little bit more magenta. And you can see, just by looking at the box, how close I'm able to get. And then on the other side, we're going to put some more white to make our little soft pink highlight. Okay. All right, we're set on that. I think all we have left is her skin tone. Oh, and the green for her outfit. Let's see. I have this green is bright yellow green. You can also use like very lime green from Game Color. That would probably work as well. I like this one because it really does have a lot of yellow. Yeah, that's perfect. That we'll just use mostly straight. I might mix a little bit of a shadow over here with this. There we go. Yep. Let's see, does anybody have any questions with my mixing so far? Feel free to interrupt. Don't feel shy. Okay, last thing is her skin. I have some burnt sienna, but it's very dark. And so we're going to lighten that up. We're going to put 3 things here. We're going to do, this is burnt orange. Oop, got a little plug here. Ooh. And we've got that yellow again coming back for a highlight. Let's see what happens when we mix those 3. Because I think her skin is this and this together. Yeah, that's really close. So I would use this as kind of the shadow, and then this maybe as an intermediator, and this is the base, and then a little tiny bit of yellow for a highlight.
Yeah, she's
Hello,
kind of
Ailey.
part lounging on the tree and part kind of joined with it as well. So it's
Yeah.
like a,
She's like
yeah.
a dryad type fairy almost.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wait, hold on, I gotta look at her feet. She does have sort of a little hoof. Nope, she's got like a little
They're
foot.
like little clawed toes.
Yes,
So she can like latch onto
Like
branches and things.
bird toes almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
I make it look easy. Well, I've done this. I took color theory when I was in college, and I do have an ability that I call carrying color. I can carry color. Can't do math to save my life, right? That's a different kind of skill set. But I can take the box art of something and I can mix it to be almost exact because I know enough about colors and how they interact with each other, and I'm able to match it. And I can also then take it. If I could go to the paint store, I can remember that color and carry it. And I can go to the paint store and pick out a chip that's almost the exact same thing. A lot of people, I didn't realize this, a lot of people can't do that. All right, we're going to start.
No.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Right? Well, that's how most people are. That's how I am with numbers. I can't keep them in my head. And a lot of people are like, how can you not keep them in your head? It's like, it's just my brain is flipped. I'm starting with the burnt sienna as her base, and I've got it pretty thin down. If you look at my palette, I pulled it out to the side, and you can see as I'm wiping it against my palette how it has I have a bubble of water over here, and I've come out and thinned it. So it is a glaze now. It's a fairly thick glaze, but it's not full strength. I'd say we need a little bit more actually. I want it to cover, but not to completely obscure the white that is already painted on here. And I'm going to try to get every bit of her. This is her shadow, and also this black that's already there is going to mix with your eye to create a darker brown as well. This way of painting is very fast and efficient, especially if you're a commission painter, because it's doing a lot of the work for you by doing this underpainting. And the technique, if you want to look it up, is based on an Italian Renaissance technique called grisaille. So it's not anybody's in the miniature industry. It's not anybody in the industry's idea. It's been around for centuries.
What's the biggest mistake you think people make when it comes to painting flesh tones?
So they don't realize that flesh in a bottle isn't going to get you the realistic look that you want, because if you look at my skin, I'm not only am I not one color on my skin, but I'm also not opaque. You can see my veins, and so that all that leads to different nuances of tones in the skin. And that even is the same thing for darker skin. In fact, I would say darker skin has multiple colors that you really have to kind of, it's hard to describe it. So you have to unsee what you think you know and see what's really there. right? So you're seeing light and you're seeing raw color, and you stop thinking in terms of brown or peach, right? You have to look at everything. If I look at my hand here, I'm seeing like little bits of blue in the shadows. I'm seeing more rosy over here, and then it brightens up and goes more peachy and bright here. And there might even be some yellow. So you have to learn to see. And with miniatures, especially ones this small, you might not get all that nuance. So it's a little easier to kind of not pay attention to that. But like I said, the biggest mistake is people kind of stereotyping what skin color actually is, when it might be a lot more than one color.
Does make sense.
So we're doing the skin first, and the reason why is because it's the innermost layer. And I would say this tree might be the next layer we'll do. Ah, there's Michael. Thank you so much for joining us. I think that might be. Let us know in chat how you found out about the stream, what social media platform you found out, whether it was my Discord or Patreon or YouTube, or because I know that some of my YouTube subscribers get an announcement as well. Oops, that's a lot of paint. So I just grab a little water if I get too much paint, and I pull it down so that it'll collect here in the shadows. She's got a really gorgeous sculpted face. This is where I start to get a little bit more watery, a little bit more delicate, because I don't want to leave globs of paint on her face. So I'm gonna use that underpainting to my advantage and let that light kind of help guide me, and I'm gonna push that paint into the sides of her face and onto her neck here. There we go. See some people in chat are talking about it.
Been very lucky with our sculptors. There's some amazingly talented people that have done our sculpts for our miniatures.
Yeah. Benjamin found out through Discord, so that's awesome. Well, the sculptors, it's not just the sculpting here, it's the production. Whoever produced these was really able to capture the detail.
We're lucky with that as well. We moved casters just over a year ago now, and I must admit I can't remember the name of it. It's completely gone out of my head. I will find out for tomorrow. But they've done an amazing job with them. The previous caster did a good job. I mean, we were happy with them, but these are just a completely different level. And over the last year, it's slowly been moving the old models into the new caster, and then releasing these new ones as well. So yeah, it's been a big journey, for want of a better word, but it's been absolutely worthwhile.
That's great. Yeah, casting it, people don't realize it's its own art. Just like 3D printing is also becoming its like own hobby. You know.
It is.
Okay. So I've got my first layer down. And as I'm looking at this, these paints are very matte, and I will tell you straight off, if you want really nice skin tones, you're not actually going to want super matte paints. So you're going to want to use some either slow dry or some kind of satin medium or even a gloss medium, something to like here's P3 mixing medium, that'll work as well. Any kind of medium to slow down the process of the drying, and also give it a little bit of a satin texture, because skin is not matte. It is not, and it doesn't look good when it's matte. It looks funny. Was that gonna come out? Hold on a second. Oh, cool. Joby one found out from the Moonstone Facebook and Discord. Awesome.
Excellent. Hello.
Yeah. Snowiak found out about the Facebook, Insta, and the Moonstone Discord. Excellent. See, it's all that cross promoting that helps having a good stream. Okay, so now I'm going to go straight to my base color over here. And I've mixed a little bit of this mixing medium, or you can, like I said, you can use slow dry, anything that's going to help you smooth it over and blend. And I'm just going to put this, yeah, that's the perfect color. Now I laid this down, you can see there's a definite line between the two colors. And I'm just going to swish my brush back and forth here. I'm going to use a little bit of my original color so we can kind of blur that. Kind of go back and forth between the two so we get, it's a lot like mixing on the model, but that gives us a nice blend. And the medium is what really helps it from drying too fast and giving you those kind of chalky outlines. Now some places where I want like a strong contrast, I won't necessarily blend it super smooth because I want that to be like bump, bump. I already like that. And I'm going to give it a little bit more yellow on the kneecap because the light is going to be hitting her knee. I need that medium here because the lighter it gets, the more chalky it's going to get if I don't use that mixing medium. There we go. It's already looking nice.
That looks lovely.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna go ahead and pop the sculptor's website.
Yeah,
into
put
the
that in chat for sure.
Jamie Phipps did all three of these, and he's done a couple of others for our range as well. But he did all three of these in this box and has done an amazing job on them.
That's great. There we go. And those of you guys who never saw me stream on Twitch or on Facebook, I am extremely nearsighted. So while I'm painting, I don't wear my glasses, but that means I can't see chat. So I might be a little bit slower. But if Susie's reading chat, then she can answer some questions for me.
Or at least pose them to you.
Pose them
I
to
have
me,
no
right?
idea.
Exactly. Yep. Okay. Now there's going to be a little highlight right here on her belly. And then I'm going to go back with my other color and blend that together so that there's a transition. Cute. Want that a little bit lighter at the base of the navel because there is a little fat pad on women's bodies that would catch that light a little better. And then on her forearm, let's go back to the yellow. Now I never got a lot of dark shadows on her chest, so I might actually have to go back and paint that in. Same thing with her eyes. So I'm going to start with this dark, and I'm around her eye socket. I'm going to paint this dark color so I can get that all. There we go, and all around the sides of her head.
Question come through that's directed for me. Yes, they are made in the UK, and the caster is very good with wastage as well. So I think it's something like over 99% of the resin actually goes into the miniatures. Very, very little is waste. So that's great as well. That's something that's quite important. All of the packaging, I believe, is moving towards being either biodegradable or already is. So it comes in cardboard boxes and not shrink wrapped either. So we're trying to do our little bit as much as we can.
All right, things are still looking really matte for me, so I'm going to switch up and go to a little bit of Reagan Flesh Shade. because it will leave a. Oh, this is the gloss even. I don't want the gloss. Let me see. Hold on a second. Without my glasses, I have to like search around. I found it. So I like these shades from Citadel because especially for skin, I can just kind of put a little bit down, and that will there's something about the quality of the shade that it just blends all the transitions for you, and then it also pulls in the crevices and gives you your shadows as well. See, like that, just on her face, it just did a huge job.
That's doing a really good job.
Yeah, and they call it talent in a bottle, and you know what? I don't care. Do it. Do the talent in a bottle, because why waste time when you can just have an awesome miniature right away? And I'm coming back with my yellows because that did darken all of my highlights. I'm going to let it dry fully before I go back and touch much. Go back here. And so now I'm going to paint this tree, which it's got actually a tiny bit of yellow over here. Yep, there we go. It's kind of this brown, and I'm going to just go ahead and paint over here. Yep, that's a good color. And I'm losing some of my zenithal, but I'm going to come back with a wash and recapture those shadows and everything. We can go a little bit darker with that. Wherever it's already darker on the model, I can add a little bit of that red back in.
While you're doing the tree, shall I tell everyone about Gwendolyn? There's quite a lot.
Yes, please. And also, don't forget to tell people about the new Kickstarter.
Yeah, so we are live on Kickstarter at the moment. It's the 4th Kickstarter.
Here's the link right here on my desk. Is you can go ahead.
Shamelessly promote.
Absolutely. No, that's the point.
We're on 52,000 at the moment, which we're really pleased with. We were fully launched within 35 minutes. Our first stretch goal gone within an hour, and then it's just kept going since then. We're really happy with how it's gone, and so thrilled to have more people joining the community. I was a Moonstone fan before I started to help out Tom. So Tom Greenway is the owner of Goblin King Games. He does all of the design work. So really he comes up with the concepts for the characters. He does so much play testing to really make it a fabulously balanced game. And about 2 years ago, I started to help out with doing a little bit of writing. And over those 2 years, it's kind of expanded into me now being the narrative lead for Goblin King Games.
Oh,
and
that's so great.
one of the, it's been an amazing experience, and creating the stories for all of these characters has been a heck of a lot of fun. And one of the things in the Kickstarter is the second book, so it's not a replacement of the first one, it is just an expansion on the original one. Oh yeah, if you could share the link in the chat, that would be great. Thank you, Mrs. Snowyak.
Yeah, please. There it is, right here.
Yeah,
you can also go to moonstonethegame.com and look at their current game, as well as see the other things about the miniatures that they already have out.
Absolutely. And the current Kickstarter is just an extension of the game. So it's the second book in the series. It is a set of cards that will bring in a campaign element to the game. And there's an exclusive miniature as well, which is part of the Kickstarter, which is a Kickstarter exclusive. And over the course of the last couple of days, we've unlocked loads of things. So we've unlocked game elements. So tokens was the thing that was unlocked today, to keep track of of status of people's characters and when they have certain effects on them. But we've also unlocked another alt sculpt for one of the existing characters. So yeah, there's been loads of stuff that's been unlocked. So it's great to see more people joining the community and coming along. And I say I was a fan before I was involved, and the Moonstone community is really lovely. I don't think I've been involved in a miniatures community that's been so welcoming,
that's
and
great.
so much fun to play with as well. So it's great to try and expand that a little bit, because it's just so nice, and that it's so whimsical, the game, and the miniatures and the kind of the concepts. You can see that from Klaus, the fact he's wielding a massive bell and got bells all over him, and he's slightly kind of googly eyed. That's kind of carries.
It's really sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of carries through the rest of the miniatures and the whole game style as well. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing more terrifying than seeing a goblin riding a pug just thundering over a battlefield to go and dig up Moonstone. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
For those of you guys at home who are watching this in the future that are going to be painting Gwendoline, she does have a cheeky mold line through her hair that you got to kind of catch. It's right about here. So, but I got it.
It's not perfect.
Yeah, no. Well, sometimes I like to let people know so they will catch it themselves, and because what happens with me is you always find the mold lines once you prime things, or while you're painting it, and it makes it so much easier if you can have a heads up.
Yeah, all those tiny little holes that suddenly appear from nowhere as well, and you're like, where did you come from? I'm sure I checked and green stuffed everything.
Right. Well, we have a trick here. Those of you guys who've been following me for a while have this material called Bondic. Oh, it's got gross stuff. It's a UV curing resin, and so we can fill the little holes with that and then cure it like this with the UV light, and then it's like good to go. It's ready to be painted, sanded. You can cut it. It's really nice. All right, so I've got the first layer on her tree, and because I'm looking at it, looks like there's some mossiness. I'm going to add some of this yellow green in here in a thin glaze to just give that impression of a little bit of moss climbing up. Oh, that looks good. I like that already. So here's a question for you, Susie. How old would you say that you, I mean, probably enough to read for sure, because I'm looking at these cards and let's show people the cards. So let's...
There's a unique system there for both magic and for melee. So the whole aim of Moonstone actually isn't to fight to the death. The aim of Moonstone is to dig up moonstones. They are incredibly valuable in the world, and they are dug up by factions or groups who then sell them to the wizards, who are called Elrich in the world as well. So they get paid for digging these up, so they are worth a lot of money. And the cards for the characters on the front shows all of kind of their stats with their melee and their range, their arcane evade, and then all the special abilities that they do. And then on the other side shows an upgrade to one of the types of attacks or possibly defense cards that are in the melee deck. So the whole point is to spend energy, which is the blue dots along the bottom of the card, to dig up moonstones. But of course, you have an opposing side or sides who are also trying to do the same thing.
Right.
So you have to fight them to get them to get away from your moonstones, so you can go and make a bunch of cash.
It's almost like King of the Hill in a way, right? Like
yeah.
So who has the most moonstones?
Exactly, yeah. And once the characters engage in melee, there is this bespoke deck of cards, and the attacking and defending player draw a certain number, and then play the cards against each other at the same time. So then they resolve in different ways. So Tom's designed it to really feel like it's a real fight. So it's not just all about rolling and checking your modifiers. There really is
Cinematic.
this, well,
Yeah.
yeah. So again, as a pug comes riding up to you and to come and bite your ankles, you can actually narrate that story that's happening and the fight that's happening on the table in front of you.
It's like
And
old
it's
school
really thematic.
Warhammer then. That's how they used to play
Yeah.
Warhammer when they first started.
Yeah,
That's
it's exactly
awesome.
like that.
Narrative styles,
Yeah.
they call that.
Yeah, exactly that. And then some characters, so Gwendolyn's a good example, can use magic. And so those are then resolved through arcane cards. So they are a series of cards from 1 to 3. There are more 1s than there are 3s, and they are in purple or pink, depending on your preference, blue and green. And the attacking player plays a card face down, and they can bluff. So they can say what basically. So they can either say, I've got the 3 of green, and that would give them the most powerful thing on their particular character's card. But if their opponent's holding that card, then they can call their bluff. If their opponent isn't holding their card and just has purples and blues in hand, it has no greens, then they may not be sure, and so they may just let it go through.
Yeah.
Player could be bluffing that they've got that 3 of green, and that actual effect happens, so that whatever they've claimed, if it's not been called, that happens.
Yeah.
If their bluff is called, then the opposing player can replace the card with one in their hand. And there are a series of catastrophe cards in the deck, and the catastrophes usually do something quite nasty to that particular character.
Oh no.
And so the person who's playing the arcane really needs to think about what they're doing and whether it's the right decision to make to bluff, and what the impact, if they do get a catastrophe cast on them, could be. So it's a lot of fun, and that kind of two-way kind of banter-esque approach to playing a game like this, it can be hit or miss. I find that you can get people particularly aggressive or something, but actually the way it's so balanced and just the fun that happens at the end of it, it really works very, very nicely. So it's a really nice system that Tom's developed in the game.
That's awesome. Okay, that sounds really fun.
Very, very good fun.
All right, so you can see now we've painted her clothing and her wings of this olive color, and there's some interesting detailing going on the box art that I might have to do, just to make things interesting. Let's see. Well, first let me get all the base colors on. Let's get the pink. Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah, she's looking very good.
Yeah, so the pink is chalking a little bit, but go ahead. Somebody asked a question.
Yeah, there is a question, very important question. How are your lizards?
Oh, they're good. Let's see. Hold on. I'll go ahead and show them on camera. They miss my lizards because I haven't been streaming as much. So I have two African fat-tailed geckos, and they are Peppercorn and Ginger Biscuit. And Ginger Biscuit has a British name. And here she is, the biscuit. There she is. She's a little bit light shy, so there, she's so cute.
Geckos are so cute.
They've been doing good though. And then Peppercorn just went through a shed not too long ago, so she's not as fussy as she usually is. Here we go. This is Peppercorn. Not as chill as Ginger Biscuit, but still very pretty.
They are so cute. So cute.
Also not as light sensitive either, because she So Biscuit is amelanistic, which means she doesn't have as much pigment. She's not albino, but she has
Okay.
low pigment, and her eyes are sensitive. There we go. I bet you guys are happy about that. Look at the hearts.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks
So
for asking.
cute.
That was really funny.
So
Right.
cute.
All right,
My
go ahead.
my husband was born in Hong Kong. His dad was in the army over there, and he is British, but he was born over there. And apparently, when they had pictures up on the wall in the evenings, if you'd knock a picture, or if like there'd be a vibration of a truck or something going past, lots of little geckos would just sprint out from the picture and go and hide somewhere else in the dark.
Yes.
So they didn't have spiders, but they had geckos on the walls, which I just love.
In the Philippines, it's considered bad luck not to have a house gecko.
Really?
Yeah, you need to. They're good. They're good for keeping the bugs away, and they're considered good luck.
That's quite a good reason to get one.
Yeah, so this pink is super chalky. I'm gonna see what happens if I use this. Maybe it'll be a little bit more smooth. Cause it's
Is there a mic issue?
Oh, did I? Hold on.
Possibly?
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah.
Yep, it wasn't plugged in all the way because it got untangled.
There we go. Excellent.
Good. Oh yeah, that's
At
way
least you
better.
we're chatting over a different system, so I can't tell. So yeah, if you do have any problems, then pop it in that chat.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm gonna go over. This is the Monument Hobby Pink, which I think is because again I added white. Even though it's the magenta, it's still chalked up a little bit. So I'll just stick to this pre-mixed pink. Some colors are just better mixed, and sometimes they need a little underpainting to help them. Every paint is different. And if you're using paints like Citadel, those are already a satin paint, so they're gonna go on very smooth and not chalk in the same way. Oops.
And is chalking also to do with layers potentially as well, being too thick? Or is it more just to do with the paint?
It can, yeah. It goes back to is the paint matte or is it satin? Because satin paint doesn't tend to. I don't know. It doesn't. I guess they can all have problems. So one thing that people sometimes have happen because their paint will dry, but they'll be going back into it to blend as it's drying instead of just letting it like dry completely and then layering and blending on top of that after it's completely dry. So they'll kind of basically scrub up some of the color and it'll get kind of a cottage cheese texture.
Okay.
And so when you start to notice that happen, just let it go, let it dry completely, and then come back and see if you can correct it. Yeah, I'm having less difficulty now that I switched colors to this paint. I have a completely different approach when I'm painting as I'm streaming than I do when I'm painting at home. And that's a big thing it's because I kind of feel like if I'm bored, other people are bored. So I have to keep going, and I don't usually stick on the same, like how I painted the skin. I painted all of the skin at once, but for the wings, it's a little bit more boring because there's not as much going on. So I'm moving around on those a lot more.
Okay. While you paint, I will actually talk about her this time rather than just going on about the game.
Yeah.
So Gwendolyn, as you can see, is a fairy. There are other fairies available across the range, and there are other races. So Reagan and Klaus, that are part of this box, are fauns. There are humans and gnomes and goblins. There are trolls and giants, and I'm sure there will be lots more coming in the future. But they're the main races. But you select your troop based on the factions that they fall within. So at the moment, that is the Dominion, which is the fairies and the goblins and the kind of creatures that live in the forest, maybe, and the if you looked at it from a kind of traditional sense, the ones that maybe would be classed as a bit more trickstery or maybe a little bit less kind of white, they're a little bit kind of grey or maybe even a little bit evil. But in the world of Moonstone, it's not quite that clear cut. Some humans aren't particularly nice, and there are some really nice goblins, for example.
Aww.
And everyone's kind of a bit of a shade of grey, in all honesty, anyway. And the factions are really what drives, let's say, your troops. So there's the Dominions I've mentioned, and there's the Commonwealth. So that is the gnomes and the humans, and they are, as I say, if you looked at it from a traditional perspective, they're the ones you would expect to be maybe the good guys. But as I say, that's not necessarily the case. And then the third faction is the Leshavult, and they are a cult that worship a god called Leshavit, and Gwendolyn is a priestess of Leshavult. As is Reagan as well, actually. So 2 priestesses in the one box, and there is only one other priestess, which is Callista. And Callista actually was the selected for the alternate art as part of the vote of people who have followed the Kickstarter. So we asked people to select from or vote on 6 options, and Callista was chosen. So she's now going to get an alternate sculpt for those who follow or pledge on their Kickstarter. Yeah, so that would be very cool. So there's the 3 of them that kind of look after the Leshavult in different ways. So there's the fairy, there's a faun, and there's a human across the 3 priestesses. And then players, as a player, you select your faction, and then you choose a number of miniatures. So a kind of typical game, the longer game, is about 6 miniatures. There are no points values, there's nothing like that. It is purely just pick the 6 that you want that work within the faction you've chosen. And it also means that you can have 4-player games where everybody is playing against each other, or you could have a 2-headed giant, and then those 4 players choose 3 characters each to make that kind of full set of 6. So then smaller numbers of characters can also be used for slightly quicker games, and then it's played over about 4 rounds to then find out who has the most moonstones at the end, and then that's who wins. It doesn't matter how many characters you kill, if you're not carrying the most moonstones at the end of it, then you're lost.
By the way, I just mixed a little bit of this mahogany with this pink to get the shade color of her hair, because that's what I'm doing. I'm underpainting, and then I'm going to paint the flowers kind of. I'll probably have to dry brush it or overbrush it a little bit to get the detail to come out, because they're very small. They're very small.
Yeah.
And then I'm just kind of wet blending the colors together a little bit. The lighter color up toward the top.
Dry brushing is probably one of the simplest techniques, but it took me so long to get good at it. I don't know why. I started off and I was fine because it was really easy and I kind of didn't know what I was doing generally, so I was just like, okay, here we go, dry brush, it's fine. And then when I came back to it after I'd learned a few other techniques, I was just like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just messing it up and just putting too much paint on, even though I thought I was setting it up properly. And so I always could try and avoid it a bit if I can now, but I'm kind of trying to fall back in love with it and just try and maybe just dry brush a miniature to completion.
I think the trick with any technique Because you kind of have to do it often enough that you have that in your toolkit, right? And it is just a technique, so you can be good at it or bad at it. And ultimately what I tell people is just, you can use just the techniques you're good at, and you'll be fine. But at the same time, you should try to push yourself and try techniques, because even though you might not be good at it right off, you will eventually get good at it by practicing it. Oh, I just got some on her. So actually, speaking of this is a nice brush, and because her hair is so textured, I recommend using a flat or like something else that's gonna get into because you really do need to get into the crevices of her hair. And that's why I think dry brushing is a good, it's for me, it's a good technique on anything that's very textured. And also, if you're using a nice brush on something textured, it's a good way to ruin your brush. So I'll start with this dark color, and then I'll lighten up with the other color in a minute. You had a question?
Yeah, no, I was just going to ask you, so what technique is your bugbear? Which one do you like the least?
Good question. Let's see. I think probably something I probably need to work on a lot more is just slowing down a little bit and doing that slow glazing where you're just layer. I mean, for me, I have a difficult time doing anything that bores me. I got to follow the dopamine and get the result I want with the least amount. I've always said this, I'm an impatient and lazy painter, and I paint to my temperament. So anything that doesn't go with my temperament, I have trouble with. So there we go. We've got quite a bit painted on her now. Let's do some detailing on her face now that that's completely dry. I'm going to go back to my yellow and mix it with my base tone. And on the box, all of this lighting is on the side of this side of her face. So I'm just going to hit the highlights. And one thing I tell people is if you want to learn how to do really good face highlights is go watch makeup contouring videos. Learn about how to contour faces, and you can learn to completely change how your minis look. She's got a very tiny face.
It's making such a big difference already, isn't it?
Just that little bit. I need to look at her box again. She's her eyes are so small. I'm going to mix a very dark color that's not black with this red and this green instead of using black for her eyes. Try to stick to the colors I have on my palette here. I'm going to just go in here and see if I can paint the... Yep. And it looks like on the box she has kind of glowing blue eyes, so I'm gonna do that. But you also have to think, like, with a model this small, you're not going to see pupils, you're not going to see an iris. It's like seeing somebody from across a football field, right? What are you going to see? You're going to see maybe the darkest part and the lightest part. And then I'm going here and kind of sculpting out the bottom underneath her eye to really pop her cheekbones. She does have nice cheekbones. And then her lips are a little bit reddish. I'm going to grab some of this magenta and mix that with her skin tone. That looks good so far.
Mm.
Cute. I'm going to paint her outfit before I get too far with this dark green. Wherever the shadows are, this way the dark green is. And then this really bright, this is going to completely change how she looks. Let's do this green, light green here. Look at that pink and that green looks so nice together.
Mm.
Ooh, a little bit more green here. What faction do you play in the game mostly?
I
I'm gonna look at
must
chat real
admit,
quick.
yeah, I am more of a painter and a builder than I am a gamer of Moonstone as yet, to my shame. But I must admit, I do like either the Dominion or the Leshavult. I think the fairies and the fauns and just that kind of more fantastical element just appeals to me, and that their gameplay is so much fun as well.
That's good.
Yeah. So, like Gwendolyn has lots of kind of illusion-y, and she's a little bit of a siren of the forest as well, which you can see from the miniature. So kind of calling people to her, but also pushing them away, and I just like that narrative sense of gameplay that these characters bring in particular. They are a lot of fun. And writing the story for her. So each one of the characters in the new book gets a very small story, which we call bios, but they kind of about the characters, maybe their origins, or just something that really gives a flavour of their personalities. And for Gwendolyn, I've written kind of a poem, like a warning poem to from her to humans that are walking through the forest and maybe linger a little bit too long and to admire this beautiful dryad in the forest and what happens if you do. So they've been a lot of fun to come up with as well, to actually do that creative side of things.
Oh, that's great.
And I agree with the comment that's just popped up. The painting is bringing out the details of the miniatures so well.
Yeah,
Really,
I mean that's what I was just saying, is that the detail in the sculpt is kind of insane. It's so good. And I'm trying my best to kind of keep that. Hang on, I want to do, there's some little line work on this that I want to do. Okay, so on her wings, I'm going to copy the box art here. She's kind of got these little lobes. This is free-handed, by the way. This is not on the sculpt.
Yeah, the wings on all of the fairies pretty much are unsculpted. So they are flat plastic, or flat resin, I should say. Sorry, that allows painters to do kind of whatever you want, and we've seen some really amazing effects that people have come up with. One painter has done British butterflies.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's so beautiful, the skill that he's got. He's cursing because he's running out of butterflies that he can think of, so he might have to start moving onto moths next. But some of those are just as stunning. So yeah, there's so much you can do with those wings, which is a lot of fun. I've tried the contrast paints, not the contrast paints, the color shift paints.
Okay.
For some of them, which have worked quite nicely, but on the bigger ones I am thinking I might do some freehand as well, just to try it.
Yeah, so what I'm noticing here is that just kind of take your time and just remember that whenever you're painting freehand, you can always fix it. So don't get too fussed if you feel like you're not doing a good job. I may end up completely redoing that spot because I'm kind of getting my ideas as I'm going.
Good evening. Another new person has joined.
Steve, hello. Yay. A lot of these people are some of my Twitch followers, so that's really cool that they're seeing this.
Awesome.
Okay, I think I've got my groove on the freehand, and I think it's about making like little hash marks, but not. Okay, so that means I need to go back and fix this and redo that. If you're painting thin, you can always do dark over light. So, but I have to let that completely dry now. And then in this part of the wing. By using the dark brown. It's very subtle. I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
Yeah. Gonna get some opalescent paints is one of the comments. Cheating.
Right.
No, I don't. Personally, I don't think it is, but
There's no cheating in art. If it gets you the result you want, it's okay. But I like this brand called Lumiere by Jacquard. You can usually get it on Amazon, and I'm not sponsored by them, but the price you can get like, I can't remember, was it like 9 paints for like 14 pounds? Bachelor remembers what the price was. And they're all like the different colors of opalescent and pearlized or metallic colored. There we go. Bachelor's like, I'm gonna get some opalescent paints. Okay, I'm gonna do the little hatching on this side now that this is dry. I really like that actually.
yeah, that's looking lovely.
Oh, we got her armpit green now. We don't want people thinking she has any moss under her armpit. Although she could. She is part tree, right? She's kind of...
She is one with nature. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with that.
Right, there's some little tiny flowers down here. I'm just going full strength with the pink for that because I want those to really pop.
What sorts of miniatures really excite you when you see something in a box, or if you see something on a shelf or on someone else's video and you just think, yeah, I've got to paint that?
I have this Kingdom Death model, and you can see for obvious reasons. Like, I've been a big champion of, we have so many sexy female models, even Gwendoline. I mean, she's got her midriff, she's got her chest showing, you know, okay, but that's great, but where's the men? You know?
Yeah.
And I don't mean Conan, and my audience knows this about me. That's what I've been trying to get to happen in the miniature industry. So Kingdom Death come out with those, and I was like, all right, I have to paint them, because what I get told by the quote unquote people in the industry is that there's no market for it, and I'm like, no, there is. You just aren't trying.
Yeah.
You don't want to try.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, Gwendolyn is probably one of the sexier models that is in the range. The other female miniatures are actually tamer is the wrong word, but actually more normal.
Yeah.
And it was one of the things that when I was the fan and I saw them, I just thought to myself, wow, these are actually more like real women. The fairies are a bit more kind of, well,
Fanciful,
they are
yeah.
creatures of nature, so they don't really care. So it's less about kind of a sexualized thing. But Gwendolyn, because she is like that siren, there is a little bit of that with her. But the other female miniatures, I mean, one of the female giant called Brunhilde is.
Oh, I love her. Yes.
She's like a Valkyrie. So she's really cool. I like her a lot, but with her pigtails and like, her braids. So yeah, there's but I know what you mean. I completely agree with you. It'd be so nice if there were more male models and.
So I have my own Patreon. That's a lot of the people who are in this Discord or in this chat right now. They are part of that, and I'm creating my own line of models of these kind of guys. And what's cool about it is that I had hired female sculptors and female concept artists, and we got something in the works that's beautiful, right? Like a beautiful male. And not necessarily sexualized either, because that's what I thought. I thought Kingdom Death has the sexualized down. I'm gonna do emotive and beautiful and vulnerable, because we never see that in males.
Yeah. It's so true, and that's really exciting. It's diversity, inclusion in all of the ways that you don't necessarily think about when you hear those words. As you say, like a beautiful, vulnerable male figure is so important to get that range. And I mean, muscly male figures.
They're a dime a dozen.
Yeah, and also they're not that helpful for men either. There are men who look at those and there's that kind of comparison and there's that discomfort of like, well,
yeah, they feel the same way we do.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great where there is these kind of rebalances and as I say, the diversity is important.
Well, and I'm planning on doing differently bodied men. I'm going to have some kind of one of the ideas is a kind of like a rugby body build, like a rugby kind of body build, but like he's got a tiny kitten, right? Like
Yep. There's a couple of stories that are coming in the second book that I can't talk about because there have been spoilers enough from the stories. But there is something along those lines.
You just perked up the ears of all the Moonstone people. Spoilers.
Yeah. It's normally Tom that does that. Yeah. But yeah, so I've tried to bring the diversity into the stories that I've written. So I'm trying to look at different genders, so actually looking at gender fluid or non-binary characters, so in the way that they're described in that sense, and also the personalities of some of the characters and softening their personalities, even if their miniatures are actually don't reflect that, or you wouldn't think that. I think that's so important to try and do that a little bit, and just bring more representation amongst things.
I just want to point out real quick, the what I'm doing here is called overbrushing, and it's similar to dry brushing, but you've got wet paint on your model, but you're just kind of feathering it. Here's my hand, and I'm feathering it on like this, so only the edges of this little flower grouping are catching it, and it's bringing out, it's like highlighting it, see? And I might need to do this a couple times and kind of go back and then shade, and then because I might lose some of my shadows. I probably could go a lot darker with my shadows for this, because this technique does work really well, but it also can get rid of your midtones and your shadows if you get in there too much. Let me see what chat is saying. Let's see. Hello, Teresa. Arla says, +1 for nice mail minis. Can't wait to see yours. Oh, Chilling Wargamers. Oh my gosh. I have to say special hi to Spud. If you guys are into like Warhammer or other kinds of tabletop skirmish stuff, Chilling Wargamers I don't know if do you guys still have a podcast? But they have a podcast that's they were some of my first British friends too.
Ah, hello, Chilling. Or Spud at Chilling.
Yep, Spud. All right, I'm going to let that dry, because if I try to do a wash over this, it's going to melt everything. So I have to let that completely dry, and I'll go back to her face. Oop, she got a little paint rubbed off on her nose. I'm going to add some of this pink, because just a smidge of this pink to the skin tone here to lighten things up. Yep, that just popped it a little bit. Right under her eyes.
Yeah, so comment there in the chat, tend to flood the mini when over painting. Is there anything you can suggest for not flooding? Because I could just see myself as well just going and completely ruining it.
So I might end up flooding it. So I'll just show you how I would rescue it, because I might do it too.
Okay.
I need to make sure that's really dry. Let's see. Okay, so I've got some Carolsberg Crimson, just dregs of it, just barely any left. And what I'm hoping to achieve from this is to kind of shade down a little bit. And I need a brush with a kind of a long, well, I need a combination. I need something with a long ferrule. Oops, don't jump in the palette. Yeah, this one will actually be okay. It's got long brushes, but it's got a big enough body that I can quickly mop up. Right? I can also, right? And that's looking okay. So that means I can bring that up a little bit. That's already looking beautiful. And I'm just working that around. So wherever it's pooling right here on her wing. I can pull some of that and then put that in a spot. So this is actually probably similar to watercolor. You're just doing controlled wash. It won't go everywhere if you make sure everything else is really dry. As soon as you get everything wet, that's when it starts to flood. So you kind of have to
patient.
Right, you're poking it into the crevice. I call it pinpoint wash. Rather than soaking everything, you're going to pinpoint wash it. And then you can move it around a little easier. See, and I can rinse my brush and then just have a little water on here, and that will thin it out so that I don't get the tea stains. Here's another metal song coming, by the way. Get ready. There we go. Not quite Gwendoline's mood, but maybe a little bit more Reagan's. All right, I like that a lot. I'm going to let that completely dry, because that's going to give me those dark shadows that I want. Let that completely dry. Good, good. And I can even poke this red down in some of the other spots here, because red and green mix together to make brown. So when I put red down in here in the shadows, it won't read as red, but it'll read as just a dark color. And if it's over the green, it'll read more brown. Okay. This song also makes me paint faster. I noticed that I'm not painting with a handle. Let me get one real quick, because a lot of times I'll have a painting holder, and it will really change how you paint. It'll really improve. I'll show you the difference, because my hand won't get as tired and my eyes won't get as tired. I make it look easy again. Is it all about brush control and lots of practice? I would say a lot of it, yeah. There we go. So that is so much easier to hold. Let's do some lighting on that. There we go. So the hair is still drying. So I'm going to go work on the face a little bit.
Cheekbones are looking really sharp already.
Yeah. So for her eyes, I need to look at this box. I think when you're painting eyes, you want to go with something really bright. So I think we'll try to use this. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Let me try to switch to this bright pale green. That might work. It's going to pull your eyes into her face really well. And so I want to leave that little tiny ring of that dark brown that's already there and just make a little circle inside this. This is where I really am happy I've got this holder. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous. Notice I'm turning her because I'm right-handed. It's going to be easier to paint that eye upside down. There we go. That looks cool. And I can actually use this as a little bit of a highlight on her green as well, because it's nice and bright.
That's, yeah, really lovely.
Once you start getting into the contrast, it can make a big difference. Let me see her wings again. It's got a little bit of a... I like that. I've been watching this show on Netflix. It's called Sweet Tooth. It's kind of about it's like an alternative end of the world kind of movie, but basically there's these animal children hybrids, and it's very fairy-like in many ways, and gave me a lot of inspiration for painting today. Look at that. That looks cool.
That's looking really good.
It's always like the last few highlights that really pop it. I'm glad I picked out that blue because I just messed up. That's a little bit bright because that's bringing my eye down to her foot too much. So I'm just going to take some of this dark green and I'm going to wait for that to dry a little bit and then just glaze it and knock it down so that it's not so bright. All right, what is on her wrist? She's got maybe some pink. And I'm seeing like little tiny leaves on her skirt. Get back into that little blue. Oh yeah.
So, very cool. While you're doing that, I will pop the link just to this particular box set into the chat.
Okay.
So for those who are interested in seeing the box art, you can see a version of it there at least. And what an amazing job it is.
So I'm just gradually layering on highlights over time here. Oh, this was a hand. All right. Now, I'm going to take some of this red back here and shade the side of her wing. So we're pushing that one back and bringing that one forward to give some dimension. And then we'll actually do a little bit of shading here too.
Would you add the detail of the wing as well, do you think, or with that?
Yes, I'm going to do that, but I need that shadow to be there first.
Yeah, okay.
Because otherwise it'll be just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then I can also shade it again after that. All right, real quick, I'm going to do something with the black. I'm going to paint the rest of the base black. I'm going to eventually put some flock and some different things to give it look like a forest lip. But for now, I'm going to paint this part black because it's going to really separate the mini out for me and let me really see the mini better, because right now it's highlighted.
Thank you, Arla. Arla has said that Moonstone is such a great game. It doesn't hurt my brain the same way as other skirmish games. I'd agree with that. That's one
really
of the reasons why I liked it as well, because I was just like, oh, this is quite simple. I don't have to worry about memorizing lists and which are the must-take miniatures and which ones you can should leave off, and what someone else is going to do that up their sleeve. This is less brain hurty, which is always a nice thing. I think it makes it much more fun and just so much more relaxed and enjoyable when you just don't have to think so much.
Well, it's kind of come along at a time where really people aren't making a lot of skirmish games, I think, because GW kind of came back and everybody's like, oh, we'll just be in that, and a lot of the other older skirmish games kind of suffered.
Yeah.
And so it's a good time to try something like this.
Yeah.
I
mean, I've never played it myself, but I've heard from a lot of Guild Ball players that Moonstone is like Guild Ball, so it's quite a nice transition for them. Bless them, that now it's no longer really around as much.
Okay.
And Arla also points out a very important thing. There are bunnies. Everything is also better with bunnies. I completely agree with you.
That's amazing.
There is a character called Boris the Bunny Summoner, and he does what it sounds like he does. He is a fawn.
Oh my gosh.
So he's in the Lesherol faction as well. So you could play him alongside Gwendolyn and Reagan and Klaus. And he does summon murder bunnies to come and ruin your day. So yeah. There is as you can tell from the British humour with the Monty Python-esque bits kind of coming out there.
I love it. All right, so things are still wet in the hair, but I'm going to go back over here and just hit on stuff. Let's see. I'm really liking this wing. I think we need to add a little bit of sienna, just a little bit of sienna to the tree. This is where I'm Shoshifying things a little bit. There we go. And some highlights. I added some of this pink to my brown. When you're using a palette, when you've got all the colors, you don't usually need to make a new color, just mix a new color, right? And then they always will work together. The trickiest thing I'm thinking here is she's got little tiny twigs. Okay, they need to go more sienna, that's why. All right, I'm just gonna use this sienna to paint these twigs because it looks like, yeah, that pops out much better. Because I was like, how am I gonna get that to show up? And I was using the wrong color. There we go. Yes. I was on the right track. There we go.
Yeah, that looks stunning. Ready?
Okay. Things are drying. I'm going to go ahead and do the detailing on her back of her wings. So there is in the sculpt a little line here, so that at least if you don't want to do all that freehand, you can at least have this as a guide, and the little things over here too. Might actually be easier to paint the small teardrop shapes with solid green and then go back and put the center in over it. How are we doing for time? I'm still good to keep going for at least a little bit longer.
I'm trying to remember what time. It was 2 o'clock we started your time, wasn't it? So it is 3:35.
Okay, good. That's perfect. We're making good time.
Yeah.
All right, so three petal shaped loops, kind of following the dimensions of the sculpt. And the bottom ones already are in the sculpt, so those ones you can just follow along with your brush. And if my hand is feeling shaky, I can always go back and fix. I'm really glad I got this holder though. If you don't have a holder, you can use a cork or a medicine bottle or even another paint pot. Just something so that your hand can relax. And the other thing I have is both my elbows are on the table to stabilize, and sometimes I'll put, so you have 3 points. You have each elbow on the table and then another thing, like I'm holding my wrists here. Or you can put your wrists together like this and paint. And that makes a big difference as well, having that stabilization. you're able to paint a lot more accurately, so then you're not going back and having to fix, and then you're not as tired.
I'm elbows into the waist person rather
Yeah.
than on the table, but then, yeah.
That's good. I like that. Okay, this is still wet. I'm not going to touch that. I might hit that with a hairdryer if I get real impatient. So this green paint is a lot more transparent, so it might take more than one coat. So I'm just doing 3 little hatches and then turning it. To give it that kind of wing web. I'm getting a little faster. Turning it again. I got a little paint there on the side of a tree, but that's easy because it's a dark color. I can just come back in, and dark over light is much easier to do than light over dark. Okay. And then speaking of that, I'm going to do, let's look at the front of this. I'm going to use a little bit of black in this because I really do want that brown to be dark enough to see. It's better. Okay, and then I'm also going to come back in here with my orange to just overbrush a little bit on the tree to make that pop out. I like it.
Do you always build your miniatures before you paint them?
Not always. Sometimes I have things sub-assembled. Like this guy, he's got a whole bunch of feathers and everything. Like most of his backside's going to be covered with these feathers, but I wanted to get all the details and stuff painted. So I didn't build him, but for these models are really not too difficult. They're not like really layered like that. Kind of what you see is what you get. So it's, for me, it's easier just to go ahead and put it all together, and then anything that's, you know, it's going to be hidden is going to be dark anyway, right? There's some more light. Okay, I think her hair is almost dry, so I'm going to go in here with this pink, and I'm just going to try to pick out these really obvious flowers that I want to be bright. And this is tedious, but I'm kind of painting each feather a little, or flat petal rather.
Had a question come through, which is, are you not on Twitch anymore?
That is correct, because I am in the process of producing my own line of miniatures. And between that and kind of a little bit of Twitch burnout, I just needed to, there was a lot of reasons why I had to stop streaming full time. And it's been a good decision for me. But I do come back if I have a sponsored stream. I've been streaming on YouTube, and I actually did a little bit of live streaming on TikTok. It's hard though. Just streaming in general is it's not something I can do all the time anymore.
Do you find it hard to get an audience, or is it the reception you get? What is it?
What it is that my eyes are 50 years old, and you know.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I really, really enjoy commission painting. And when I'm streaming, I often find that I have to go back and fix a lot of things, because I mean, it looks great on the stream, but it's not to my standards, right? Like it.
Yeah.
And I have a very high level of what I want my work to look like when I put it out there. And I actually was just losing money. So this way, when I do sponsored streams, I'm getting paid to paint a commission, and you know, we're giving value to the client by spreading the word. Yeah, it just was, the market was very saturated as well.
Yeah. Because
of COVID, because everyone started streaming.
Yeah, that's true. There's so much content you can potentially engage with now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay, let me see here. I'm putting a little yellow in some spots here to kind of bring out, again, more little highlights that I want to showcase.
Yeah, and Teresa, she's catching up on all of your other videos that she's missed over the past year.
Oh, that's good.
And, between Patreon and YouTube, they're still on there, so you can see them on there as well.
Right, and I'm still streaming for my Patreon. We usually average one stream a month, but that is another way if you want to still watch me stream. You can catch me on Patreon. Plus, you'll be helping me produce these models, because I'm actively engaging with that community, and they're really literally helping me on decision making.
It's very exciting. I'm from a personal perspective, I'm representing Moonstone, but it's always so nice to hear about new ranges and lines of miniatures, and to hear about your plans is really exciting to see what you come up with.
Mm-hmm. Okay, where's that green? There he is. Right here. There we go. And where I'm putting these highlights, it's wherever the sculpt is kind of bowing a little bit out. So giving dimensionality, is that a word? I don't know.
Know what you mean.
It is nice having kind of like a voice company while I'm streaming, because sometimes I want to be able to like kind of lose my you just kind of unselfconsciously paint, right?
Mm.
And having somebody talk while you do that is really nice.
That's good. There are the moments where you're doing things like the wings where, like, if it were me, I would just be holding my breath while I was painting. So I'm kind of self-consciously doing that while I'm watching you doing it, even though I'm not in control of the paintbrush at all.
That's funny. Well, again, I remember that I can always fix it. I can always paint back over it. So it's just about being brave. That's pretty. All right, this is about dry, so I can go in here now and do my little loops.
So if you do paint over, say you are painting light over a darker area, but your darker area has got lots of layers, and you've kind of done the nice blending, would you repaint each one of the layers to cover up the paint you've accidentally put on, or would you just go for one of the colours? Or
It kind of depends on, again, it goes back to my mood, you know. If I'm feeling like I have the patience and my eyes aren't too tired, I might take the extra time.
Yep.
But otherwise I might just make it easy.
Yep.
And there are times when you're working on something where, because your eyes are tired or because of whatever physical factor, where you need to actually just stop and take a break or come back to it. And that's why it's nice when you've got like several models like this, you might rotate them around and do, you know, it's not as much fun to watch streaming, but you know, if you're at home and nobody's watching you, you can actually get things done very quickly by kind of doing that. Like do all of Gwendolyn's base colors and then do all of Klaus's base colors, and then, you know, it all depends on, you know, what you want to see.
Yeah.
All right, where's that black? Here's that black. There we go. I'm going to use... We're getting really close to being done with her, though.
She looks amazing.
Okay, I think I'm going to do a little bit of yellow back here. Just on a few spots. So that there's interest when you're not looking at her from the front. You want to do that with your models, is make sure that everything's interesting. So I think what I need to do here is go in with my wash again and shade down. So we're going to do the pinpoint wash again, where we're just going to stick it into the shadows. And you can see there's a nice big line, but I'm going to get in here with just water. And get rid of that line. Fade it out. And that gives us some depth, and it also kind of shades the line work we just did. It sets that line work down into the wing.
Yeah.
All right, I want to do something else with her wing. I want to take very light yellow. Let's do, this is actually Reaper. Let me see if I can shake this a little. They need a lot of shaking.
One of my cats is woken up, so you might hear him making little meows and trilling in the background. So apologies if you
that's
hear.
okay. Alright, let's use this instead of a white as a highlight, because sometimes highlighting pink with yellow can be really pretty.
Because it's more of a contrast.
It's just got a luminosity. Whereas white and black both tend to kind of flatten things.
I see, yeah.
See what it's already doing?
Yeah. It's more lively. It's bringing that, yeah, that luminous element to it.
Let's do it over here. I need the pink back.
Yeah. Latest comment is at the point of putting the shade in, I have panicked and run away.
That's why
I know what you mean.
the pinpoint. That's why I've got a brush with a long brush bristles and a relatively thick body, because even if it does flood, I can wick it back up with the brush itself by just, dabbing it on paper towel. If it's dry, it's going to be more likely to stay where you put it because of surface tension. Almost forgot the little... Oh, that's good. Okay. The other reason why this yellow works is because the yellow in her green is kind of able to, look at this. It does the same thing. Just pushes. So warm colors tend to come forward and cool colors recede. So that's the other reason why the warm yellow and pink depends on what color pink it is. I'd say this is a warm pink. But you can have warm reds are more orangey, and this is actually, no, I lied. This is a cold pink because it's a little bit more blue. And when you're playing with those temperatures, then the yellow automatically brings it back warm. I'm going to do a little bit of yellow. Just little dots. Again, to make things interesting. How do you like that so far?
That's looking really good. Really, really lovely.
On the flowers that really stand out, I'm going to put this yellow again. We're still going to read a little bit as pink because yellow is transparent, so it's still going to have some of that pink quality. You know what? Just to make things again more interesting, just put a little pink on the wood. Pull it all together. All right, I think we're done with her. The last thing I will do, I'll show you before we end stream, is I'm going to just add a few little grass tufts. Hold on. And I've got some flower tufts as well. That could look cute. I'm careful with flower tufts because they can look cheesy if you get too much. What else do I have? I like these grass tufts. This is Mini Nature. You can get these. I think they're from Europe, but you can get them all over the place. They're really nice. I like them because they're kind of not all the same.
I like those. They're it's a brand that I'm familiar with. It's a lot of fun trying to figure out the right one. It takes me a while to look at each individual one and go, now which is the perfect one to go in this tiny little gap?
Well, and sometimes you need to cut them so that they are perfect. Yeah. Which I'm going to put this holder down. This bottle of super glue is almost empty, which is amazing because a lot of times the top will be so covered in super glue that I'll never be able to use the rest of it. So
Yep.
There we go.
Also resorted to discovering a split has opened up because the nozzle is so stuck together.
Yes.
But a split has opened and I can use the split fine. So.
Right? Okay, I need a pair of tweezers somewhere here. Aha, here we go. And I'm just going to take the small ones first.
Do you think going straight onto black like that gives the better overall effect, rather than doing something like a dirt first and then?
Well, I can do the dirt also.
That does look very good, doesn't it?
Yeah, just that little bit. I need to clip. Some of this is a little bit crazy. Like I said, I will take each mini case by case. There's not a lot of surface area on here. So I think I'd like to just put grass all around.
Yep.
And so see, just looking at that from the front, it looks really natural and cool. But it also kind of, I'm going to try a little piece of this. I'm going to cut it. The other thing, you want to use a couple different colors of tufts because, you know, real grass is not all the same color, right? You'll have different types. Okay. Oh, it's stuck to my tweezers. There we go. And that has a little bit of flowers, and they're kind of green too, so they don't clash at all. I cut it in a little bit of a wedge shape, so it fits right in between the roots that are here.
It really helps pick out some of the colours.
There we go. No, stay. See, the super glue is also a little bit old. There we go. See, and that bright green from this tuft kind of pulls out her clothing a little bit too. There's a little space right there. I'm going to stick a tiny piece. See how it's, oops.
Oh.
Let me pull down my light a little bit. There we go. You can see the different tufts together, kind of make it look more natural.
Yeah. That looks lovely.
Okay, one more big one over there. What do you do on your, what have you done on your bases so far?
I am looking for a way to do cobblestones for some of the humans that I've got, which I've not figured out how I'm going to do that yet.
Yeah.
So they are unbased, but then with the others, I've mostly done this sort of stuff. So I really like putting the tufts of grass in, and I've got some of the stamps from Green Stuff World to make the little leaves as well. So I'm hoping to do something that's a bit more autumnal. I've got those lined up for creating more of a a warmer toned but more autumnal approach at some point.
You can also, Green Stuff World makes kind of a roller with cobblestones on it.
Yeah, I've looked at those and
not quite.
Not. Yeah, I'm. Yeah, I might go for them. If anybody has experience with them in the chat, by all means, let me know what you think of it. And also, what has your experience been of doing something like that? Is it something you've looked at much at all?
Well, you always have to pair it with other things. Like you can't just use the cobblestone. So you might put graft tuff on top, or a little weathering powder, or kind of have to. It's with any basing, I always try to use multiple things.
Yeah.
To make it look more realistic.
Yeah, because as you say, nothing is completely flat or one thing, is it? Even cobblestones will have pools of water and muck and grime and things as well. Popcorn can look like cobbles. That's interesting in a comment.
Popcorn, interesting. Oh, I really like her. Let's take her out and see how she looks. I'm going to have to go back over her base to cover up that paint. Let me do that right now.
Yeah, she looks really lovely.
Yeah, and then we'll just hit it with some matte varnish, and it'll kind of, what it'll do is it'll kind of give everything kind of even look to it. And that's how we go. So we still have, Reagan won't take very long. She's got the least amount of colors. And so we'll do Reagan and Klaus tomorrow. We'll start with Reagan and kind of try to get through her, and then we'll do Klaus last. So hopefully everybody will join us. I know, James, but we're about to end here. But
same time tomorrow, though.
Yeah, same time tomorrow. 2 or 8 if you're in the UK. 2 to 4 is what we're going to shoot for. We might be able to go later on Saturday. I've got some stuff going on today, but we can definitely do later on Saturday. But yeah, tell your friends, everybody tell your friends we're going to be streaming tomorrow, and we will yeah. he's like oh no. There we go. All right, guys, well, I'm gonna, if you want to say anything else, Susie, we can go over the slideshow tomorrow and show people some more things to do with the artwork and the actual game.
That sounds great. I'm going to do one last post of our Kickstarter for those that missed it earlier on. It's live now, and there are miniatures there, so if you're not a skirmish game player, but you're into the miniature side of things, then there's some really fun stuff there to have a look at, and consider joining our local community. And we've got a Facebook Moonstone players group, and we've got a Discord as well, where we get together and chat and share photos all the time. So it would be great to see you if you do start collecting the miniatures. So yeah.
I will put the link to the Moonstone Discord, or sorry, maybe not the Discord, but the Kickstarter for sure in my own Patreon Discord, and let people, I'll probably be posting my go live links tomorrow, again about 2 o'clock Central Time, which is 8 o'clock UK time. All right, I think we're all done. I'm gonna go ahead and do my rollout music now because I started it in your talk, and we'll close out right. All right, bye guys. You have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.